Recently, a chaotic scene took place at the Wuhan Wine Expo. A group of women fought over promotional flyers that could be exchanged for gifts. What should have been a high-profile industry event turned into a mess. After the video went viral, it quickly sparked heated discussions online. A woman at the scene commented, "You all know this is the Wuhan Wine Expo, but if you didn't, you'd think it was the Hunger Games. They're fighting over these purple flyers. What are they even for? The lady in red still hasn't stood up, and the one in black is already slapping her." I could feel it through the screen. Her face must be burning hot. Honestly, if you can't handle this kind of competition, you shouldn't be here. The event tests an Aunties' speed, fitness, and mental toughness. Next time, I recommend signing up for a martial arts class before attending. The 23rd China International Liquor Industry Expo, which opened on October 17th, promised around 50,000 bottles of free wine for attendees. Naturally, the thought of free drinks got the women excited, and they showed up in full force. Some even brought shopping carts. As expected, chaos followed. This wasn't the only disturbance at the event. Another booth looked like a war zone, with trash scattered everywhere after an unknown incident. As things calmed down, the women lined up to exchange their spoils for prizes. Many online commentators were curious what these free items were that got the women so worked up. One person joked, "The expo needs aunties to make it lively. Without them, it'd just be industry people hanging around with no energy." In Jiangyin, Jiangsu province, a staff member at a cafe tried to help a woman collecting trash by giving her some empty bottles. However, another elderly man, also scavenging, saw this and rushed over to fight for the bottles. A fierce struggle broke out, leaving the staff stunned. What started as a kind gesture turned into chaos. A vlogger explained that this behavior stems from the government exploiting the people, leading to fierce competition for even the smallest benefits. Another user commented, "I get where they're coming from. These people were born in rural areas, don't have social security, and only get 200 yuan a month in retirement. With the cost of living in Jiangyin, 200 yuan barely covers utilities, and if they don't have land, they're left to collect waste to survive. It's not their fault. These old folks are just trying to support their families. Sadly, life has come to this." In Shifeng, Inner Mongolia, nearly 33 acres of cabbage were taken in an incident that quickly went viral. Video footage shows hundreds of people, some in motorbikes and in trucks, storming the fields and hauling away sacks of cabbage. The crowd surged like a tidal wave, tearing down protective nets. The farmers and workers couldn't stop them, and the fields were stripped bare, leaving behind only wilted cabbage leaves. The chaos started after an influencer posted a video of themselves loading cabbages into a truck. She said, "Inner Mongolia's cabbages were hit by hail. Come pick them for free." Initially, only locals came to pick the cabbages, but the rumor spread after a local news outlet reposted the video without verifying the facts, causing hundreds of people to flood the fields. By November 4th, the situation had spiraled out of control. The farm owner, Mr. Li, tried desperately to stop them, but couldn't. He later estimated the loss at nearly 1 million yuan, as about 33 acres of cabbage were taken. Online commentators were furious, demanding compensation for farmers and blaming the media for irresponsibly spreading the rumor. Sadly, these types of incidents aren't isolated. Even farmers in Beijing aren't immune to theft. On November 3rd, tens of thousands of low-income Beijing residents flooded into the suburbs of Panggezhuang to loot taro, creating a scene worthy of a blockbuster film. The overwhelming number of people forced farmers to call the police. One woman at the scene explained, "We've reached the area where we could dig for taro. See all these people? There are so many. But I have to clarify a few things. Look, there are still people on duty. The landowners and Uncle Hat are here, so don't break the rules. You can pick from the safety line, but stay out of the restricted area. I asked the boss, and he said we still need 5 more days before we can pick. So don't wait around for nothing. People keep pushing in, but they can't cross the safety line. Farmers work so hard for this, so please respect them and just pick what's outside the line." Recently, in China, many people have been facing increasing economic pressure due to factors like factory closures, rising unemployment, and a growing number of people living paycheck to paycheck. It is reported that the proportion of urban residents who live paycheck to paycheck has increased to 45%. Under heavy financial strain, the concept of consumption downgrade has shifted from a slogan to a daily reality. In this environment of frugality, low-cost, high-value lifestyles have emerged. One such practice, known as picking autumn, has quietly gained popularity, especially with the government's Clean Plate campaign to reduce food waste and the promotion of rural tourism. Picking autumn refers to people entering fields after the harvest to collect leftover vegetables, fruits, or grains. Unlike commercial picking, autumn picking is usually free or requires a symbolic fee, and participants bring their own tools to pack the items themselves. In recent years, with the rise of short video platforms, this activity has been marketed as a weekend outing with snack benefits, attracting many urban professionals and families. Data shows that in the fall of 2025, over 5,000 people a day visited such sites near first-tier cities like Beijing and Guangzhou, a 40% increase from the previous year. However, many participants arrive at these sites and pick items, regardless of whether the crops had been harvested. In some cases, people in expensive cars have joined in. For example, in the Beijing suburbs, people flocked to rural areas to pick taro, which began as picking autumn but turned into a scramble for the crops. The farmers, unable to stop the rush, had no choice but to call the police.
凑成，这个就是捡秋人。
Look at this, 2 hours of work for these pickers. Before we left, we were trying to act dignified, worried about being kicked out. But once we got here, we just grabbed whatever we could. There's cabbage, turnips, peanuts, everything. We didn't even have time to think, just grab and go. These days, the best veggies are the ones you can pick for free. Let's go, just do it. One user observed, "Honestly, I've seen some poor people who don't care about dignity. They just want to get what they can, even if it's embarrassing. Some older folks don't mind causing a scene or being vulgar. It's not that they don't care about being civilized, it's just that they're so poor they can't afford food." On October 26, 2025, the Chengdu Marathon began with 35,000 participants from across the globe. However, after the race, a scramble for supplies broke out. Videos showed entire boxes of bottled water, bananas, and bread, which were intended for the runners, being taken by passersby in large groups. Some even arrived on electric bikes to cart the items away. Despite the volunteers' best efforts to stop them, it was all in vain. The videos quickly went viral, sparking a massive public outcry. What was meant to be a regular marathon turned into a viral sensation, much to the chagrin of Chengdu's younger generation. Chengdu is famous now, but not for good reasons. A few people made the whole city trend, and now we've lost face. After the marathon, guess what happened? A bunch of people rushed into the venue, grabbed anything they could, bottled water, bread, bananas. Volunteers yelled, "That's public property, don't take it," but they ignored them. Some even arrived on electric bikes to steal everything. Are they trying to empty the whole supply station? What's the point of stealing a few bottles of water or a loaf of bread? Is it really worth losing all dignity for? The video was uploaded online, and people in it were quickly recognized. Neighbors, family members, even their kids would be embarrassed. And the media? They stayed silent despite this happening right on their doorstep. Aren't they supposed to be reporting on things like this? Even a preschooler knows not to take what doesn't belong to them. But these adults? In broad daylight, they just take it. No shame. It's not just a small gain. It's the entire city's reputation that's been tarnished. The comment section exploded, with people sharing their thoughts. Surprisingly, many didn't criticize those taking the items, but instead focused on the economic reality. It shows how many families are struggling this year. Maybe if you were there, you'd have grabbed something too. They say they can't even afford food, so why worry about dignity? If they can't make money, should they just wait to starve? In another strange incident, a group of women in a supermarket, trying to save a few grams of weight, were seen biting off roots before weighing the vegetables. It was awkward for onlookers. One commenter said, "Poverty is etched in their bones. Even if they aren't poor now, the memory of poverty resurfaces in certain situations, making them do things that others can't understand." Others believed this behavior is the result of government exploitation, forcing people to abandon their dignity to survive. If you're outside of the political system, your pension might only be 1 or 2,000 yuan, or you might have none at all. To live with dignity, you need money. If you're hungry for days, you'd probably eat the roots of those vegetables too. Recently, a supermarket in Liushi, Guangxi province, sold durian for just 15.8 yuan per 500 grams, causing a frenzy. It seemed like people thought it was free. Some even got injured in the chaos, and others lost their slippers. But in the comments, some said, Chinese people just love joining the chaos. They think that if they don't grab something, they're losing out. I bought mine for 9.9 yuan per 500 grams on the streets, and it was just as good. A similar scene played out at a JD discount store, where young people fought over durian. At the opening of the Yunchuang Jiulong supermarket in Meishan, elderly shoppers fought over garlic, showing their extreme competitive spirit. At a bun shop, prices were only slightly cheaper than usual, but that was enough to draw a huge crowd to grab the buns, making business boom. An elementary school that had closed suddenly became a hotspot. The reason? Everything inside was being sold off cheaply, attracting elderly people fighting for bargains. A vlogger shared a video compilation titled "Chinese People Fighting for Food," showing scenes of people fighting over free lunchboxes on the streets, in restaurants, and in communities. Some even became so angry at someone cutting in line that they threw food on the ground. Others tore each other's clothes apart just to get an extra serving of hot soup. In the post, the blogger reflected, "Some say this is understandable because they've been poor for so long, but those of us who've never gone hungry can't really understand. What struck me the most was when a man and a woman fought over a large pot of meat. In the end, the woman lost and threw all the meat on the ground, saying, 'If I can't have it, neither can you.'" The blogger bluntly asked, "Is this what really hungry people would do? People who have truly gone hungry would appreciate food. This behavior has nothing to do with hunger. It's just pure greed and malice." In reality, Chinese people have been taught from a young age that they must fight for everything. Some say it's because there are too many people and too few resources. If you don't fight, you won't get what you want. The behavior of older generations has reinforced this mentality, teaching children to grab whatever they can. This environment, where they've been neglected, likely nurtures this instinct. Now, Chinese people are raised in an atmosphere of "you must grab everything." Some believe this stems from the dual burden of having too many people and too few resources. 1.4 billion people fighting for a limited share of the pie. If you don't fight, you'll never get anything. There's also the influence of older generations, who've lived through various movements under the Chinese Communist Party, and passed down a survival philosophy of grab the bowl to protect the bowl, instilling a sense of competition in children. But this education also has a negative side. As this woman said,
真的受够了这种什么都要抢的生活。
"I'm really fed up with this everything is a fight way of life. In school, it was fighting for top scores, fighting for food in the cafeteria, fighting for coupons, fighting for supermarket discounts, fighting for train tickets, fighting for attraction tickets, even fighting for museum tickets. They're always gone in seconds. You're always pushed around. It's all about competition. If you don't compete, you'll end up with nothing. In the end, we've all become thieves." Looking at history, the ancient Chinese were not this barbaric. It is the distorted nature of modern society that has created this culture of infighting and petty competition. Before the CCP took over, Chinese rural society relied on the gentry to maintain order. These village scholars, who were grounded in land, wealth, prestige, and Confucian values, often served as local arbitrators. They not only mediated land disputes, but also taught villagers moral values, resolving conflicts and building tight-knit, mutually supportive communities. However, after the CCP came to power, land collectivization and political upheavals destroyed this class. They were subjected to public struggles, property seizures, and exile until they were completely wiped out. In their place, hastily promoted CCP members, who are often uneducated and inexperienced in governance, took control at the grassroots level. These new leaders simply followed orders from above, and village conflicts shifted from harmony above all to the one with the biggest fist wins. With no moral guidance, infighting among the lower classes became widespread. The exaggerations and the distortions of the Great Leap Forward, the violence and looting during the Cultural Revolution, and resources shortages all tore apart human nature. Mr. Li, a media worker from mainland China, put it bluntly, "The CCP never keeps its word, so naturally the people lose trust in each other. Benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and faith are rooted in human nature and kindness, but the CCP doesn't believe in these values. It promotes plunder, lies, deceit, and harming the people. Under this system, people gradually realize its true face." Mr. Li further explained that education, which should have taught mutual aid and support for the weak, was replaced by iron-fisted oppression. The people, powerless to resist authority, could only tear each other apart. This is the bitter result of communist rule. Li said, "It doesn't allow you to help each other. It only stirs you to fight among yourselves to secure its power. Ordinary people don't want that kind of imperial control. Because the CCP is rogue, the government is rogue, and the people have become rogues too. The spirit of mutual aid vanishes." Mr. Xu, a mainland Chinese citizen, pointed out the toxic influence of CCP-instilled education, which encourages taking what belongs to others. He said, "Officials embezzle public funds, so why not? Obviously, this should be mine. How could it be yours? Those in power treat everything as theirs for the taking, and we, the people, think the same way. If they can take it, why can't we?" Today, the deteriorating economy has exacerbated these old problems: unemployment, reduced consumptions, and a constant struggle for survival. Many Chinese social media users say that perhaps the only way to rebuild morality and dignity for everyone is by overthrowing the CCP.